The LGB event attended by Duffield also provided a meme. Our good friend David Lammy, the Harvard halfwit, said that the people at the event were dinosaurs. There are some dinosaurs on the right, he said, and added that these dinosaurs exist in our own party, and their aim was to hoard rights. That is why, 3 years later, all the TERFs, or gender-critical people on Twitter, Miss Duffield included, have a green dinosaur emoji on their Twitter profile. They are proud to be so-called dinosaurs, and the gaffe-prone Tottenham MP had once again scored an own goal. In a nutshell, the LGB Alliance is representing lesbian, gay or bisexual people who are concerned about the trans movement encroaching on their own identity and rights. They see sex and gender as the same thing, it is, and do not recognise there being multiple genders other than male and female. Trans excluding radical feminists, TERFs, have the same concerns from a feminist point of view. There are worries young gay men are being encouraged to be trans and get unnecessary medical procedures. Instead of parents, psychiatrists and teachers saying, yes, you're gay to confused and impressionable individuals, they are saying, you must really be a woman. The same applies to lesbians, who are being misdiagnosed as really being a man. We all know that gays and lesbians can have rather more feminine or masculine characteristics, respectively, but it doesn't mean they are a different sex. Lives are being ruined by such an attitude, which is becoming increasingly prevalent in the health and education sectors. There are also concerns some men or women, especially men, are using the increasingly liberalised concept of transgenderism to get closer to the opposite sex, to fulfil whatever sinister motives they may have. This, of course, has safety implications, as well as being quite insulting. There have been cases where lesbians have been accused of being transphobic if they refuse to sleep with trans women professing to be lesbians. There is also the tendency of some trans activists to make misogynistic and homophobic remarks, and to openly mock women as they enter single-sex spaces, often posting videos on social media to trigger their opponents. These are all things that groups such as the LGB Alliance opposes. At the event, Duffield did not hold back on criticising Labour. We're okay to talk about everyone else's rights, but we're not supposed to talk about women, and we're not supposed to talk about our bodies without quantifying it or justifying it. So we're not allowed to just speak about things that really only do affect women. I can't shut up, and I can't sort of be quiet. This idea that women's rights are, we have to justify talking about them, is just completely ridiculous, and I'm afraid my party is an absolute embarrassment at the moment. She said several times that colleagues in Labour had been chucking her on the railway tracks over the issue, and that her existence in the party had been incredibly lonely. One might question why she stayed in Labour after this episode. She was probably holding out so that her party would not be completely surrendered to the trans lobby. This was similar to how a few Brexit supporters stayed with Labour, to not give Remainers the run of the house. Loyalty also plays a part, of course. The more cynically minded may suggest Duffield wanted to remain an MP, and realised this would only be done through the Labour Party. This interpretation could also apply to her 2024 election campaign. In January 2023, Duffield again criticised Labour in an article for Unheard. She invoked the experiences of abuse which he had shared in Parliament. Trust me when I say I don't take, say, this lightly, but what I feel now, after 6 years of being cold-shouldered by the Labour Party, conjures memories of how I felt in that abusive relationship. When I come home at night, I feel low-level trauma at my political isolation. The article was written after a debate in the Commons on single-sex spaces, after the Scottish Government had tried to change the GRA to allow self-ID. Male Labour MPs had been remonstrating with female MPs speaking in defence of such spaces. This included Ben Bradshaw and the far-leftist Lloyd Russell Moyle, who went over and stared menacingly at Miriam Cates. In the piece, there are various clues that Duffield considered herself sidelined. Not just the cold shouldered comment, but an attack on Corbynites not campaigning for her in 2017. Also, there is this remark: I'm just the only one who feels I have nothing to lose by speaking out. After all, there's no front bench job offer for the only Labour MP in my county. Sitting on our front bench is an MP who was voted in as a Conservative. Not sitting on the front bench, however, is a single MP who believes that biological sex can't be erased at the stroke of a pen.